I've always loved numbers. I love the story they tell. I was very excited. I took accounting in high school and I said, this is for me. And I went to college and it was horrible. So I switched to marketing and it was really funny because I got so much of what I use now from being in marketing. And then about 15 years ago, I started doing some bookkeeping and I just loved it. And I had always loved it. I've always done all the investing and things like that. And I just had a passion for it. And I know that sounds odd for someone who doesn't love accounting because people are like, really? Numbers? Are you sure about that? But I ended up finding other people that loved it too.
And I went from, I'm going to live in the corporate world and I'm going to go do all these things to, oh my gosh, how are we going to do any of this? And I ended up staying home with the kids and just starting working on my own, when I had the time. And so that started into, doing financial support and consulting and some bookkeeping and a variety of different things. And as my kids got older, it was real obvious I wouldn't be able to go back to a traditional job. You really can't have a 9-to-5 job when the school calls you because your kid's having a meltdown and you've got to go pick them up. I started building up clientele, through people I knew who knew me, who knew that I didn't need to do something for them 100% of every minute. So I could work on their accounts and their businesses at a time that was convenient to me.
Believe it or not, I worked for a company before I opened mine, and it was not a fun experience. It was a very negative experience for me. So I knew that I wanted to provide a flexible environment. I knew I wanted to provide an environment of transparency from me as an owner to anyone, about where is the company at? Where are we going?
I've started my firm because I worked at a traditional firm for 15 years and I was burnt out. I was working a lot of hours. And when you're young and don't have children, it doesn't really matter how much you work. But once you have kids and you realize the importance of spending time with them, your perspectives on things that are important and not important really change. So I've started my firm about 1.5 years ago, full time. And I focus mostly on small businesses and high net worth individuals. And I do tax accounting and advisory services for them.
I always grew up doing industry stuff, being on sets. I got my degree in accounting as a fallback if the entertainment industry didn't work out for me, not knowing production accounting was a thing. I then, after I had my degree, quickly learned it was a thing. And I love the admin side of things. And a lot of production people are creatives who want nothing to do with that. So it worked out really well for me that I had a strength where there was a little bit of a weakness. The other thing that worked out very well, which I only know in hindsight, is it is so hard to find someone who understands bookkeeping and production accounting.
I moved around from job to job. However, they were all tied to finances. We would be doing things and I would notice something that was out of place, and I would end up going to the CFO or the vice president of accounting, be like, what's this? So I pretty much learned on the job. And I noticed that everybody came to me because there was some type of chaos going on around them financially. And I was like, well, it's not that chaotic. We can get you to a place of it being easier and calmer and fluid.
I started in 2016. I have always worked for other people. And I've always just had a knack for doing budgets for myself. And I got real involved with bookkeeping and understanding financials. I took a Dave Ramsey course at church. And a lot of the people were coming to me and asking me for help. And so I helped a lot of people through that program. And then one of the business owners said, hey, you should really start a company. You're very good at explaining things in layman's terms. But then my dad got sick and he was given 6 months to live. He had pancreatic cancer and my mom was also going through surgery. And I thought, I have to bring them to live with me and I need to be able to be home because this is very precious time. And I decided to go ahead and kick off my bookkeeping company.
It's been about 17 years now. I was working in accounting and customer service. I had a small business here in London, and just was looking for something new. Went to school and completed my education in accounting, and then started looking for clients just to start my thing, and I got very lucky, and worked very hard, and was able to get things off the ground in the first year, which was amazing.
At my core, I'm a builder and a problem solver and someone who genuinely loves helping people feel less overwhelmed. And my background is actually very diverse. I've worked in telemarketing, been a math and statistics tutor, been in logistics, been in sales with the Oakland Raiders, and eventually came to accounting and bookkeeping. A treasurer of the Humane Society of Stanislaus County came to me and was like, hey, I'm looking to get out. I think you have the right mind to go ahead and come and, work for us for a CPA office. And so I worked for a CPA office for about 2 years with them and about 6 years with another company. And I just really needed to find a way to give me more flexibility and freedom.
I got into bookkeeping probably 15 or so years ago, just doing little bits and pieces in my first couple bookkeeping related jobs, whether it be payroll or payables or just one aspect at a time. Eventually, I got hired on as a bookkeeper at an accounting firm, and I loved it. I was there for about 5 years. I feel like that's where I gained most of my experience. I never had any entrepreneurial aspirations, never thought about doing anything like this on my own. I thought I was happy there and I'd be an employee there for life. But life has a funny way of kind of turning the tables, and I didn't realize that I needed a good shove, but it got me started.
I got into this business by accident. Back in 2001, I was a stay-at-home mom, and a friend at my church asked me to take on the role of treasurer. And I learned how to be a treasurer and learned bookkeeping and accounting by doing the work. And then other people saw that I was good at it. And a friend at church asked me if I would look at the books for their nonprofit. And so I started working for them. And I just kind of accidentally built a business.
I started a small pet sitting business here in Colorado, but I also took a certification course in bookkeeping. It was a place in that industry that we were really lacking resources. As a former business owner in pet care, there wasn't somebody that I could see who was catering to the pet care industry as a bookkeeper. Bookkeeping very quickly outpaced my pet sitting business. It has just been an amazing way for me to stay in my industry with the people that I know and hold dear to me and support them in a whole new way.
My accounting career started in the hospitality space, working for five-star luxury firms, running their finance department. And meanwhile, my wife, who has a master's degree in biomedical engineering, one day decided to start a bookkeeping firm, something she could do from home while we had kids. Fast forward, I was still in the hotel industry when the pandemic hit, and I think we all know how that went for hotels. So I was left without a job, and the question was, do we try and, find another job with another Marriott, Hilton, or take this bookkeeping firm that's $20,000 a year, and we've grown it into the 16-person beast it is today.
I love the freedom that having my own thing affords me. So I don't think I could ever give that up now, especially with kids. This last week, I was at a park with my kids last Wednesday at 2 p.m. And I was like, wow, how cool is this? But literally the next thought I had was, well, on Tuesday night, I was up till midnight working to afford me this freedom.
I enjoy my lifestyle, and I imagine, and I enjoy working directly with the clients. Having a bigger firm, growing more, would change the way I live, change the way I work, and change my relationship with the clients. A lot of clients tell us that we make them feel really calm. Like we're always very, have this calming effect. When things go wrong, we always approach it with, it's going to be all right. We'll get this figured out. We can help you. And if we can't help you, we have an amazing community of, friends and colleagues in the accounting world that we can turn to help us get the answers for you. But it's all going to be okay.
When I first started, it was just myself. So I was the bookkeeper, the data entry, meeting with my clients every quarter, doing financial reviews with them. And then I progressed to hiring my first person, which was a very hard thing to do because when it's your baby, but I knew in the back of my mind that whoever I hired, I wanted to develop to be able to partner with me.
I'm proud of the firm that I've designed. The big win for me is not the amount of money I'm earning. It's really the freedoms that I have. And I'm really, really, really proud of it. I'm really proud of the team that I have. They make my life great. It's just really nice to be able to control my own schedule and have my work around my life. It took me a long time to get there, though, let me tell you.
My end goal is to be out there on the soccer field with my daughter who wants to one day be a professional soccer player and be able to go to all those things, right? And I can't do that if I'm sitting here. So my is really just building up the team, building up other people. Because guess what? I can network on the soccer field. I can network when I'm at a brewery. I can network when I'm out at a community event.
I never want to feel like an enormous firm. I'd like to be a bit bigger than we are now, but still close enough that everybody has a good, close relationship with one another. And I want to feel like I know each of my clients. I don't want them just to be a name listed in financial status that I haven't had a face to. So if we get to that point, then that's too big. I think flexibility is the area that's always mattered to me the most. I have 2 kids, so it's been really important to have a flexible schedule for their needs as well. I love being able to leave early to go watch one of my daughters play soccer or something. And I want to extend that to my staff as well.
And so with a lot of that hard work, 70-hour weeks, we were able to, by the end of our first year, we were doing $250K in revenue, and it was just kind of, holy smokes, how did we do this within the first 11 months? The clients came in, and they came in from all over, and I made so many mistakes along the way, but that's how you learn. Everything I've tried to do, the first time I attempted it, I made a big mistake, and now we're much more successful for it.
Accounting was my fun time. It gave me a break from being like mom in a busy, busy world. And so I loved it. And I ended up with, some more clients that got a little bigger. I pulled in one of my best friends to help me out, pulled in, another person. And finally, here we are working these separate but together businesses and decided we should just really come together and support each other in this process. So that is where Strength in Numbers was born. That momentum just built its own thing. I don't think I could have possibly guessed then that we would be where we are now. The staff that we have today is very much made up of parents. Some and many have kids with disabilities who are working around schedules that are super complicated, but they're also perfectly capable, reliable people who do a fabulous job, but could not work in a 9-to-5 job.
I have a team. I have a part-time admin, a part-time tax preparer, and a full-time bookkeeper, and we are global. My admin is located here in the States. She's actually locally in Arizona. And then I have a bookkeeper and a tax preparer located in the Philippines. I thought I would want to be a solo firm runner, but I really do enjoy having a very small team to help me get through this.
And so I hired my first employee about 5 years in, maybe 6 years in, and she's still with us today, which is amazing. And so growing the team allowed for scale, allowed for, to us to bring on new clients and start to offer different services. And we just kind of grew from there as we needed to create the capacity for clients. We started to bring on, hire and train new staff. And then here we are today. The more we see the digital age, kind of taking over, the more opportunity it provides for us to take on clients that are, located further away geographically, which is really nice for us.
I moved to Missouri, which is Branson, Missouri, and I started over, and all my customers decided to follow me, which I was very thankful for. And I built my business in Missouri from the ground up from there as well. And now I have a partner there. We're very successful in the Branson, Missouri area. Because the beauty of this business is you can be anywhere as long as you have an internet and you have a computer, you can do business.
When I really started doing this work, I learned everything I could learn that QuickBooks was willing to teach me. And literally, as things happened, I would go online, I would take courses, I would do that. And then if something didn't work, it wasn't, oh, this didn't work. It was, what's the lesson that I learned and how do I adjust?
My hardest part was, okay, I've got 15 clients and I have me and 2 employees, but I don't want to give up the work because, I'm a control person and I don't know how to delegate right, or I'm delegating, but I don't want to trust them yet. Or I trust them, but I'm like, I got to have my hands in it. That was the hardest part, is, again, getting out of my own way. Now, to get to the trust level, you have to give the trust right away. If I know people say, oh, you got to earn trust. No, I think that you have to trust and then give them the resources to communicate and make sure that they have a partner.
Sometimes you don't realize when something starts small and you're the one doing all the work that you do actually have systems. Like, you have an entire system in your head and you may not realize it, but we had, as owners, to figure out how to get those systems on paper. And I think sometimes it's still tough because you'll have a client who, might be like, hey, this is not working for me. And you go back and look at the systems in place and you're like, yeah, it's missing a step. That's on us.
My biggest challenge has actually been the growth of my business. Over the summer and into the fall, I really reworked all of my processes. So it's laid out a lot better. So my team isn't relying on me to communicate what needs to necessarily be done or how to do something. I don't want to grow big. I don't want to be $1 million firm. I'm comfortable with the size that we are right now. I'm always looking for clients though, right? Because there's always going to be another great client and I don't ever want to turn that away. But am I taking everybody that walks through the door? I am not.
So we are very picky. We have decided not only do we only work with churches and nonprofits and a couple of legacy clients who are small service-based businesses, because I didn't start out doing everything perfect and niching. But we now require all of our clients to agree that they affirm the rights of the LGBTQIA and BIPOC communities. We like to call it a bespoke level of service, where we have our software that we adhere, that we use with all of our clients, but we start by meeting them where they are. We come in, do an assessment of, where they are now and what they're using now, and then show them our tools and work with them to adopt our tools. I work exclusively with QuickBooks Online, and I do a diagnostic review of their QuickBooks Online file before I put together a proposal to work with them. And so I can take the meeting I've had with them to sell them on the diagnostic proposal, the form that they've filled out and the diagnostic together, to kind of determine whether or not we're going to be a good fit for them or they're going to be a good fit for us.
We have 11 employees and we have 41 clients. Now that's changed over the years. There was a point where we had almost 100 clients, and we have brought it down purposely to really work with our ideal client. That was very hard, but it actually worked out better for us and better for all of our clients. They have to be growth minded. They have to be open to change. And they also have to understand that it's a collaboration, that we work with them, that it's not just us doing the accounting and them doing their work. It's really the two of us together.
We have wonderful relationships with our clients. We are really invested in their success. And whether that is, a single person running a consulting business being successful, or a nonprofit that is, serving the homeless community. I think the thing that I am most proud of is that out of a journey and a path that was unexpected, that I was able to make something of that and create something out of that that feels really positive and still do things that I wanted to do. And they just looked a little bit different. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Building a successful partnership is really about giving and taking. So if I do my part and you do your part, then we can make all the parts work together. And even if they don't have the answer right now, or I don't have the answer right now, if we take the time to talk things out and figure it out, we can together.
Not everybody's perfect fit for me, but what I like to do is I like to then send them to somebody else who might be able to help them if I'm not that right fit for them.
My job is talking to entrepreneurs, people who have done the same thing or who are working on doing the same thing, creating something for themselves. And it's empowering. It's something very special, but it's something that's very, very scary. And having the right support systems there for you are very important. We're here for you if you're small and starting up, but we can also grow with you. So as a firm, I take the things that were the most fear for me and try to help people get through that on in the sense of financial reporting, etc.
Being able to give the clarity of the data that they need to make informed decisions, that brings me a lot of pride to be like, oh, I'm impacting others' lives. So I'm really proud of that. And then I'm really proud of my being able to parent and own a business at the same time and hopefully be an example for my kids one day.
My purpose really was how to give back to the community, how to understand the community, but most importantly, my employees. I want the employees that I call my team members to not have that normal boss that is out there, thinking about the bottom line all the time. I want to make sure they're supported and have a life, and that life is more important than work. I don't dictate what office hours are for anyone, so they get that flexibility. And with that flexibility comes a little bit more desire to be a part of the team and do the work, have some ownership, if you will, in the work that they're doing.
I was molded into the person I am today because of my mentor, right? I learned a lot. And I learned a lot very quickly, and she gave me the passion to make sure your work is right. This is my way of paying it forward to the next people that want to be in the shoes of what I've been doing.
I wanted to create a company that supported women who wanted to have a work-life balance, whether it to be home with their kids or take care of aging parents or stay home and take care of their pets. I didn't care what it was. I wanted them to be able to have that work-life balance. And I started hiring women who were CPAs, who were masters in finance, who really wanted to develop a professional side as well as be the person that they wanted to be outside of work. And that was not available in accounting then.
Because I want everyone's family to be able to benefit and do the things. Like I want the woman entrepreneur who's a single mom to save money to take her daughter on a shopping spree. I want the family-owned business to be able to close for a week so everybody can go on vacation and that kind of thing. Like I want everybody to be able to live the life and do the things that they want to do.
Probably about 60% of our clientele is in the pet sitting and dog walking world, and we've branched out into other facets of the pet care industry. And the people who give of themselves to do that day in, it is not an easy job. It sounds like it would be, puppies and kittens and fun all day, but it can be hard too. For a lot of people, financial conversations or money talk comes with a lot of baggage. We have our own emotional, psychological connections with money through our life and potentially past trauma. So we always try to approach those conversations with the same level of compassion.
I wanted to be able to help women who wanted to not be in a network marketing type situation to be successful. And I thought, how do I grow this business? Well, the best way to make money is to help other people get what they want.
I always say the coolest part of this job is like you get a really good idea of how people out there make money and the types of businesses and how they're getting started up. And it's really cool to watch people grow and succeed, to be there for them as well, to offer as much support as we can. It's great. And that really solidifies the relationships with the clients too. Like we're really lucky to have lots of long-term clients as well.
So if I was starting over today from scratch, maybe I sold my firm. First things I would do, I would find communities, people that have been through what I'm doing. Like, we are not reinventing the wheel here, folks. There are plenty of people that have tested out software, tried stuff. The hive mind has good information. Get to know the vendors quick. Some of the most impressive things I've done is because I respectfully reach out to the vendors and offer insights, feedback. Really, the moment I went all in on my niche and advertising, that's what we focus on, the sales came quicker and faster. So get out there and focus on it, but find your community, because it gets lonely, it gets hard, and you feel like you're a crazy person until you realize, nope, we are all crazy. You're totally the status quo.
The other thing too that's really important when you decide to become a firm runner is to always have the growth mindset. Like, know that you are continuing to grow forever. It has been the best decision of my life. There have been some peaks and valleys, of course, but I would do it over again the same exact manner that I did it. It's actually, I feel like, made me a better accountant. And I also feel like it's just made me a better human in general. I've learned so much.
There's ups and downs, and it's not about like, it's all about how do you get through those. My dad always told me, whether you say you can't or you can't, you're right. So I know my business is going to succeed. I know what path we're on, and it's all in believing that, is we're going to get through it no matter what.
It depends on their situation, but if they're working a job and they're able to start out on their own as a side thing, I think that's a really safe way to get started. I didn't have that option. That's it, I'm done. I need to start from nothing and build it up. So I probably was more aggressive in how I built my firm up and got started. Starting out on your own as an entrepreneur is really scary. I think maybe more people should just give it a shot, because the worst that can happen is you fail and you go get a job somewhere and move on with your life.
I started hustling on Upwork at the time, LinkedIn, and I would just scroll for people looking for bookkeepers, or particularly anyone in production looking for production finance support.
You don't have to know everything. And in fact, you're not going to know everything. It's going to drive you crazy. You're going to work way too many hours to try to figure out that you don't know everything. It's about how do you grow? How do you react?
If I can leave anything with anybody, is do what you love, do what you're gifted at, and impact as many people as you can while you're here.
I would tell anybody, give yourself a little grace first, because you're doing a great job. And then sit down and look at the process, and can you make it easier, right? Make it easy for yourself, because then you'll make it easier for others.
You think like, I'm going to get here and I'm going to go this way, but it's like 2 steps forward and then 1 step back and maybe a side step. It wasn't easy, and it didn't always look like that. And so I think people have to realize there's a lot of hard work to put in. There's blood, sweat, and tears. It's not for the faint of heart, but it can be done. And it is incredibly rewarding. And you just have to focus on what you want to happen, and you'll get there.
This to me is not like work. I love what I do so much every day. I feel like I'm living in a dream. I don't feel like it's work. It feels like my destiny.
Like, I have so much pride. I have pride in what our team does. I have pride in what we built and where we're going. And it's just been an amazing journey. And it's only been 3 years.
What's next? I don't know. The sky's the limit.